Hello, I'm Barry John, and welcome back to Let's Play Descent. I have two co-pilots, and I'll let them introduce themselves.
Hey, this is Crazy Ahmed.
I'm Laylight, and there are 4 lights.
So, welcome to level 8. This is not a good level, and yes, that timer you see in the bottom of your YouTube video, that's right. It's an hour long. It's not a good level.
You know, when they said we had to buy time, I didn't think they were that literal about it.
Okay, so
You can't say we're not value for money.
here's the thing. I played through this level, I did it, and then I realized, well, there's a secret level after this one, and I forgot to actually, do it properly to hit that secret level. And so I replayed the level without recording, and I shaved 5 minutes off my runtime.
Wow, 5 whole minutes. That's a huge gold split. You're gonna have a personal best after that.
Yeah, you gotta share the speed strats with us.
So, if they're on Europa, are they mining for heavy water or something?
Possibly?
Fuel refinery.
I do like the snow effect, though.
Yeah, it's nice. It's not overbearing. It's just there.
And a shield-to-energy converter, or an energy-to-shield converter for the level.
Fantastic.
Alright, they're gonna let you play with it for the whole thing. Nice.
And, of course, the plasma cannon. Thank you. Once I can actually hit my targets with it.
Yeah, it was nice of the game to give you some slow-moving targets to actually just hose down with that. I'm guessing this is the aforementioned weapon that kills the tanks better now.
Yep.
You know, the plasma cannon's nice and all, but, I don't know, there's just, it's just not quite powerful enough. Like, we don't have, oh, jeez.
Well,
Well,
okay.
yeah, it's definitely not powerful enough if it didn't kill those guys in a reasonable amount of time.
That was me not hitting it more than anything else, so...
Yeah, I mean, it's fast, but it's not, like, it's not gonna cover the whole screen in an instant. Not that fast.
There's a quote-unquote upgrade to to this guy called the EMD cannon. I'm not sure when we get it, but the EMD cannon basically has a slight tracking to it. Also, look how zippy that tank track guy is. Like,
Yeah, he's driving around on those slopes like it's nothing.
Yeah, like-
Which, to him, it probably isn't anything.
yeah, like seriously, those little zippy tank guys, those are the worst enemy in the game. Screw them.
Yeah, feels like
Wow,
they didn't do
that's
that much
really
playtesting.
saying something. We've already seen some hints as to what other nasty enemies could be. But, the tanks are still the worst, you say?
The tanks are still the
Okay.
worst.
Yeah, they should have given them a bigger profile or something, make them easier to hit, more blocky.
Or not give their guns such stupid accuracy.
Actually, that takes me back to Descent 2, where the first thing you notice is the quality of life improvement when the guys armed with the quote-unquote Vulcan gun don't do hit scan.
So, because you started the level in this outside section, there really is no place you can get away from that tank, is there?
No.
Like, once he notices you and him are locked in a fight to the death.
Mostly my death.
Or in your case, it's multiple deaths.
Yeah. And that energy transfer sound just is so weak. Alright.
Yeah, there have been a couple of quite weird things audio-wise. Like between that and the plasma cannon sound.
Alright, well, looks like the worst is over, at least for this section. But, this is only the warm-up. This is how they're trying to introduce you to this level.
So the next step is to open up this little building here. And that means I have to go around to some of the ancillary buildings around the outside here. Wait, do I have to go through here?
I mean, that certainly looks like something that wants an event flag or a key or something.
Barely made it. There we go. So, basically, yes, in order to advance through the level, you have to go through one of these three, basically vents. And they all push you back as you try to flow through them. And welcome to my most hated room in the game.
Oh, yep, plenty of geometry
really
to get stuck
tight.
on.
So much geometry to get stuck on. The enemies are melee enemies. And I have...
Even if you kind of stay up here in between the vents, like, that's still not much room to maneuver at all.
No, and I have died in practice runs where I get caught in a corner by the melee guys and they just literally rip me to shreds and I can't even find them to shoot them.
And I'm guessing if you fly over those vents when they're going, it can kick you straight back out of the building?
Yes.
That is pretty rude, gotta say.
As I said, like, this is the worst level. Son of a bitch! This is the worst. That's a fusion cannon Hulk.
Whoa.
That is this game's fusion cannon guy, just hiding out in a back room.
Yeah, you have zero room to
Yeah,
dodge.
and when he's that close, it's kind of hard to dodge, isn't it?
At least he's polite enough to give you his gun when he dies.
Yeah, he did.
That's
Wait
a bit
a
of a weird
minute.
Descent 2 sound effect to copy for that.
That was the energy converter sound.
I mean, I'm sure there's a perfectly good reason why they picked the sound effect that they did. It's just not the same reason that we would pick, that's all.
God damn it. And, sorry, I'm still...
This is perhaps not the right gun for the job.
No, it's not. But it's just that because the fire gun is aimed at you and basically you have to aim down the fire in order to hit your enemy. It's I hate this level. It's a long level. It's a stupid level.
I mean, that's the other thing with fire like that is since it's made of multiple particles, so to say, even if you can find the center of the fire that is hitting you, it's not going to be the same central... Like, if you aim right down the center of it, that's probably not where the bot actually is anymore, because it took so much time to get to you.
Yeah, and it will evade. Like, it will preemptively evade.
Yeah, I mean, that Fusion Hulk's certainly trying to evade. It's not very fast, but it is dodging.
Mm-hmm. At least my respawn
I like the
point
little
was...
dance he does in between shots.
Yeah. And at least my respawn point was pretty quick there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and once again, the turning radius on these guys. It's certainly, they're more dangerous than the original mini-bosses, that's for sure.
That's a pretty interesting room design.
Yeah, it hails from all video game factories, and that it looks cool. Doesn't really make much sense, but it looks cool.
It adheres to the very strict occupational health and safety guidelines that we've seen the PTMC doing.
Yeah, like, you can trust the PTMC to keep to the safety guidelines.
I mean, they made the weak points full of red glowy bits, so that's a certain, adherence to standards there. I'm sure that can crush you if you're not careful.
No comment. Also, napalm rocket. Fire in a can.
Well, I guess this game didn't really have enough fire, so we needed more of it.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, that's an interesting place to put a hatch, but it'll work, I guess. I mean, it's even got one of those circular rotary things, like, as though some kind of human were ever going to operate that.
There's
That's a good
obviously
joke.
some poor schmuck who has to climb up there once a week to clean the flame vents.
Oh, yeah, you gotta clean out the ashtray.
Yeah, I'm being quite good. Nothing to talk about. It's just, here's the thing. The level design. Okay, this room, I've been in this room before. This room is literally copy pasted from an earlier level.
They're just reusing standard parts. Yeah, sure.
Same level designer?
Possibly.
Well,
Hey,
you know,
rapid fire with the plasma cannon. That's a nice toy.
And nothing to use it on.
yeah, that's not such a good example of level design.
Oh, there it is. There's the EMD gun. Now, it doesn't really show off in this area here, but as I mentioned last video, the EMD has a slight seeking capacity to it that works out.
So finally, we found the anti-tiny enemy gun.
Yeah, and I don't use it.
It only took us to level 8, but we found it.
Mm-hmm. But as I said, it's slight, it's not perfect. Screw you, melee. And if there's nothing inside the initial target cone, it just goes willy-nilly.
Yeah, I'm finding it a little bit tricky to actually distinguish between some of the sparks it's throwing off and the actual shots. But, well, I mean, it seems to be doing its job, so I guess it's alright.
Mm-hmm. And
It seems like it
these
gets
are
rid of
some
that
neat
center
little
dead spot
set
a bit.
pieces, at least.
yeah, but that's the full map of, like... I picked up the full map, and you can just see just how busy this level is.
There's at least individual sections of it that look neat. Like, it's definitely laid out like an actual, well, three-dimensional map of an actual facility. So they definitely had that sort of thing in mind. Like, hey, we want this to look good when the player picks up the map.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a question of, okay, well, now we don't know where we haven't been, so where do we go next?
Yeah, I mean, even when you picked up the full map in Descent 1 or 2, the power-ups still differentiated between places you've been and places you haven't been.
Now, is that glass you can break?
No, it's reinforced. Oh, never mind, I was wrong. You can't blow it up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that giant glowy blue thing is, but I'm sure it doesn't need to be behind reinforced glass. It's probably totally safe.
It's the energy...
It's probably totally safe to fire fusion blasts into it. It's fine.
It's the weapon reflector. The force field.
Ah, so I guess these claws are probably meant to pick up some kind of test rig or something to fire into it.
Mm-hmm.
In which case, it's especially interesting that the glass is not reinforced then.
Well, don't forget, you can't blow things up using the... you can't shoot through glass using energy weapons. You have to use kinetic weapons.
Ah, and kinetic weapons don't get reflected by the reflector. They just kind of blow up on them if they're a missile.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I begrudgingly admit this setup makes some amount of sense.
It's game logic consistent.
Oh man, watch out for that single bar, that I-beam. It's dangerous. It's got the warning stripes on it.
Oh yeah, I thought there was one of those guys hanging around.
It doesn't seem like you can really stun lock those fusion cannon hulks like you could the earlier ones, so it does kind of seem like you kind of have to duck and peek with them.
Yeah.
I just feel like he's mocking us. Like, in between shots, he's giving us the little hand gestures before he takes another shot.
Oh, he probably is.
Yeah, it actually seems like he's doing, like, pairs in a volley, so he's firing once, firing twice, and then reloading.
Well, to be fair, like, the engine designers, like the enemy designers here, they really did take advantage of the fact that they could have more moving parts on the enemy robots. So they have, like...
Oh, yeah, all the models are far more detailed than they ever were in the past.
And they're able to actually have the gimbaling arms to have their weapons mounted onto.
I always liked it how like the cop bots with the melee attack kind of like wind up, take a big swing, and end up spinning around when they try and hit you.
Yeah, I mean, there's those little details in the game that make you go, "Wow, that was amazing." And then there's the other stuff that happens.
So I guess the thing I'm having a little bit of trouble putting my finger on is the individual parts of this level seem nice, but it's kind of just setting you loose to explore a little bit. Like, I don't think there really seem to be any obvious checkpoints or waypoints to give you direction. It's just like, oh, that part over there looks interesting. Let's go over there.
Well, don't forget, part of it is like, I mean, it seems to me like some of these levels were designed with the assumption that you'd be using the guide bot all the time.
Yeah, that is kind of the tricky part of that, is when you design a quality of life feature like that, all of a sudden you kind of assume that it's going to be there.
Yeah. And I am done with that. But the whole point of that was I was able to do something. Now I can go over to these little huts here and gain access to them to trigger the next thing.
So at some point down there you hit a switch that let you go into these things?
Mm-hmm. Actually, oh, die, you son of a bitch.
I guess he must have forgotten about you as soon as you went into the steam vent.
Yeah.
And then kind of went back to his home, probably.
Yeah, I wish he did.
Yep, that's how physics works. Yep. I'm okay with this.
No comment. Right. Next step, get into these places here and shoot some switches in them. Like, seriously, there's enough material in here for 2 levels or more, but it goes on and on and on.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first case of forced backtracking we've seen in this level. I don't know if there are any others, but like, at least they're keeping you a little bit busy during then. It's just there's so many places to go. And unless you've memorized the map layout, you're probably not really going to know which of these hallways or doors actually goes where you want to go. And, like, I can kind of see what they're trying to get at. Like, that's another way to make a level seem really big and expansive, is giving you a whole bunch of places to explore, but, well, again, we're kind of seeing a limited number of rewards for doing so. We picked up that new gun a while back, the EMV gun, I think it was.
Yeah, the EMD.
Yeah. And there was the rapid fire, so that was neat.
Secret areas too.
They weren't advertised in any way. You just kind of ran into them by accident.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's been no ceremony about picking up any of the like major weapons or upgrades. They're just kind of there.
I
mean, if you're playing a dungeon crawler and you're going in a maze and you go through a series of rooms that just have some monsters in them and there's just some regular old fights, the payoff is when you get to the end of your little dead-end branch, there's a chest you can open, and that has your reward in it.
Yeah, or it's on a pedestal or something. Your reward is just
kind of floating in the middle of somewhere. And unless you put it on, like, a pedestal or something, or maybe even put it behind a switch with a force field or something, otherwise it's just kind of there, and you pick it up and you get the same sound effect that you get when you pick up any other power-up, and you just have it.
So, this is the mass driver.
When you really want something way the heck over there, Dad. As long as it's stationary.
Yeah. I mean, you can hit moving targets with it. It's just you have to be a little bit more predictable, or you have to...
So it's not your anti-tank weapon, then?
No.
It's your anti-turret weapon.
Yeah, it's the anti-turret weapon. Sorry, and of course, because of the way the game is set up, the mass driver is only really useful outside.
Yeah, I think because of how dodgy enemies are, and the fact that this thing doesn't really look like it has any kind of splash damage on it,
Oh,
maybe if you're lucky, you might be able to fire it and kind of predict when an enemy's going to peek out of cover and hit it that way. But otherwise, it just kind of seems like you're just going to be tapping it whenever you're indoors.
you think enemies are dodgy now? Okay? Guess what the perfect enemy to shoot with the mass driver is? A thief bot that doesn't know you're there because of just the sheer one-shot high damage output.
Yeah, I guess it can't hear you firing it.
The thief bot will preemptively dodge when you fire the gun. I am absolutely serious. If you have a thief bot under your mass driver sights, and you've got the full charge, and you let go the trigger to fire the gun, the thief bot will dodge.
That answers my question I was going to ask before, which is it hit scan, or does it have travel time? And evidently it has some travel time.
No. The game cheats.
Oh, that is not cool. Not cool.
And it's just for the thief bot, where it's like, oh yeah, no, you're not going to be able to use, the thief bot hasn't seen you gun to shoot the thief bot.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Like, I feel like if the player is crafty enough to get into a position where they've got a line of sight on a thief bot and not be noticed by it, then let them have their victory.
Yeah, I always thought that whenever the thief bot couldn't see you, it was just kind of zooming around and wandering aimlessly. So the fact that it even does idle when it can't see you is actually kind of news to me. Yeah, and I guess that's kind of... I think it's kind of overly reductive to sum up the problems with this game in one simple statement, but I feel like this game is kind of afraid to let you get too powerful. It gets you some nice toys, and it does let you get powerful in some prescribed ways, but it doesn't really put you into, like, a Doom level of power fantasy where you can just absolutely slaughter your enemies and feel invincible. It just never really gets to that point. It is always a struggle, no matter how many power-ups you have.
Certainly.
Yeah, even when it gives you an invincibility power-up, there's nothing around to feel powerful with.
Yeah, or like the classic thing you would do in Descent 1 or 2 is that you would give it to you for a boss, and then it becomes, well, a tool. And that's neat and all, but it means that you don't really get to enjoy it that much.
Yeah, like, I mean, using the invincibility, like, the judicious use of invincibility and invisibility in the boss fights of Descent 2 and Vertigo were part of the level design. They were part of the encounter design. Here, it's just a thing.
Yeah, we don't see cloaking that often. Like, it was really noticeable when it dropped as, like, I think it was either a power-up or just kind of placed somewhere in a level, midway in the level, and it didn't really have much ceremony attached to it.
Or, it was the cloaking device was a reward for destroying a cloaked enemy in the first place.
Yeah, again, that's a very game logic thing to do. These are some quality secret areas.
I know. It's almost like it's a... I don't want to say reductive location, but the fact that all the secret areas are all the exact same thing in the exact same relative spots. It's like there was a quota to fill in.
Or, like you were saying before, maybe they just copy-pasted the area. Copy-pasted
Yeah, I mean,
the
it's not like they
only
have to do it once. Like, maybe they could do it in 3 times in 3 separate different locations. So when you find the first and you find the second, then you know to look for the third one, and that makes you feel clever. But, like, putting it everywhere is just not... It kind of falls flat.
Mm-hmm.
Or do something like have only one of them, but the fan that you need to destroy is, like, noticeably cracked and damaged or something. Make it look a bit different.
Okay, I'm not sure if there was necessarily anything you could have done to avoid that, but the penalty doesn't seem that harsh anyway, so...
No.
Oh, well.
Aside from the penalty of having to listen to the alarm music.
You can't even shoot it to shut it up, can you?
Nope. But it does turn off if you're not in line of sight. Now, this switch here turns off the force field that's down a little bit, down past this door here that I saw earlier.
Man, I've seen like 20 of those things so far. It still kind of takes me a minute to realize, hey, wait a minute, this particular black and yellow striped thing is a switch.
Oh, past John. Back up. You just skipped the thing that you needed to grab the access to the secret level with. So, I screwed up. I missed it. So, at the end of the level, after I've got everything ready, I'm going to cut back to this point, and I'm going to go grab the thing that will allow me access to the secret level.
Cut? I mean, there's going to be a crossfade?
No, it'll be a jump cut, like a jump scare.
Wow. You know, it's been a while since we had one of those.
Oh.
It's really saying something that this is the first level where we had to do that.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, actually, no, I'm in here. I just don't actually go grab the thing because it's hidden in a little corner. I have to go back and get
This is nice. It kind of reminds me of the old Super Metroid glass tube. Yeah.
You know, the one...
Yeah, same.
Where, oh yeah, in this one specific room, you can start super bombing in order to crack the glass and do a thing in the background.
Yeah, I mean, it's a common idea, but it's executed nicely here. I mean, it's in 3D, and, like, I think I'll have to see it again when we fly by it the second time, but I think the lighting in it was different enough that you could notice it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that darker patch there.
And the headlight being shown off again, because I'm like, is there something back down here? Is there? I totally could have sworn. And I'm just missing it, and I have to go back for it afterwards.
So the cloak was not what you needed.
No.
But hey, that's a nice secret. Like, I just hope that the cloak lasts long enough that you can use it for something.
I'm attempting to shoot down this one tiny enemy, and it's failing. Now it's succeeded.
Well, we successfully bullied the smallest robot with it.
Yeah, I mean, they still know that there's a player around. They can't quite figure out where it is, but they're
they can
gonna be evasive anyway.
Okay, this room here, this is a fun little room. You can either screw up like this and blow up, or if you very carefully hug the wall, you can blow up one of the fans around the side. And when you do that...
are there wind physics in that room?
It's not so much wind physics as it is like one-way corridor physics.
Oh.
But actually, I think I'm
like you just drove into a blender.
Oh, come on, bat! Come on! Nope, damn it. Okay, so you can either mess around with the controls to the fan using the switch that's in this, like the switch that's across from the door there. You can probably see it when I turn back around. It's literally across the door. You mess with that switch and it will let you go in different directions. Or down one of these, there we go. Don't screw up, don't screw up, don't screw up.
Yeah, I was gonna say, crawl along the side there.
Yes, but down in one of these spots is... damn it, this is the shield. I don't need the shield. Down in the other one is an invincibility power-up. If you hit the fan while you're invincible... There, now the fan's reversed, and I'm a dumb. Because now the fan is pushing instead of pulling. Oh, never mind. Yes, all of the power-ups that I dropped went in the other direction.
That's pretty neat.
Basically,
I gotta give them that.
You drop this guy, you destroy this, and then you hit the switch again, and this guy...
and it's gonna vacuum that into it.
Yes. Or you can hit or you can hit that thing down there while you're invincible, and in doing so, your invincible ship destroys the fan.
Neat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's neat. It's a nice touch. It's unique in the game, and you can probably feel my mounting frustrations with fighting off this. It's not fun.
And all in the meanwhile, the alarm is still going off.
Yeah. So you see how I reversed it here. Come on, I hit the switch. God damn it.
Did you hit it twice?
I might have by accident. Or it's just moving stupidly slowly.
Yeah, so it's just like intuitively you should be able to fit in there, but you just can't.
Okay.
You know what would have probably been a massive quality of life improvement for this game? If they made the player shot velocity faster. Like, not the enemy's shot velocity, but just make your lasers travel a little bit faster. I mean, you can turn that down for multiplayer, but just for single player.
Yeah, I mean, low shot velocity is nice for covering a large area, but when you're in wide open spaces, you just don't really have enough projectiles to kind of saturate the area anyway. So you might as well have the faster velocity just so you can actually hit what you're aiming at.
Okay, seriously, look how slowly this thing is moving. It's supposed to be being sucked down into the fan, but look how slowly it's just drifting down, going in the wrong frigging direction.
So let me get this straight. It's being vacuumed by the fan, and also gravity is that way, so it should be falling. So what exactly is counteracting any of this?
I think I've got the fan going in the wrong direction at this point. Because
Are there two fans?
No, but there. It's done.
If only they were smart enough to turn off the alarm at that point too.
Oh.
But they weren't.
But there's the invincibility I could have used to destroy the fan myself.
I'm sure that's the much faster way of doing it.
It is, assuming you can get into that little cubby hole.
Ah, now we finally get our like cool junk back.
Yep. Well, except for the cool junk that was stuck up here.
Oh yeah. I mean, you can never get the last little bits of stuff out of the drainage pipe. It just comes out with the next batch when you do it next.
This is actually why I don't cook many recipes that involve use of a blender, because I'm slightly too lazy to want to clean the thing out.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. For those of you playing at home, don't bother going into these side rooms. Just keep going down that primary corridor. All four.
So let me see if I go ahead.
All four of these side rooms have nothing worthwhile in them.
So let me see if I can recap everything that's happened in this level so far. We started out in the snowfield. We had to go across the snowfield into the fuel refinery complex, which was a whole bunch of rooms. Somewhere in there we hit a switch. I didn't even realize when we did that, but we hit a switch. Plus there were other goodies in there if you want to keep exploring that fuel refinery. We had to go back across the snowfield, find one of the huts. I'm not sure if it really mattered which, but one of them.
You had to hit all three.
Oh, okay, so find all three of them. Then we also had to solve the fan puzzle. And, we have not yet hit anything that looks like a finale yet. So now we're doing, like, basically Refinery Part 2, behind the fan puzzle. And who's to say how big this is? I don't even know if there's going to be, like, another act after this.
Yeah, at this point it feels like we're just some vandal who's broken into the PTMC for shits and giggles and is just wrecking stuff for the hell of it.
There's a reason why I was only able to properly trim out 5 minutes when I made my rerun through this level. And that's because it's just so long, and it's just And then the next step, and then the next step, and then the next step, and then I'm like, shut off the goddamn alarm already.
Yeah, let us find some place to cut the power or something. Make it a set piece. Like, rooms like this are pretty neat, but, like, they don't serve any real purpose. They're just a hub room.
Yeah.
Like, this is... I like how things are expanded a little bit more, but there is a time and place for brevity, for snappy level design. You know, guide the player from interesting thing to interesting thing. Hold their interest.
Like, the average descent, like, the descent 1 and 2 levels, even the longest one, like, I freely admit it was partly because I was screwing up on it, but even the longest practical level was no more than half an hour. And
there is something to be said for that simple blue, yellow, red key structure. It gives you orientation, it gives you a sense of progress, it lets you know where your obvious waypoints are.
Yeah, it provides
balance.
It provides measurable goals to achieve each time, like, you know. And it's like, but this guy, this enemy, or sorry, like, what am I doing? Why am I shooting these guys? Where is this place?
Why do I need to get to the other side of this room?
Yeah, why did the chicken cross the road? Why did Material Defender enter this room?
What makes this door more important than the other door?
Well, the quality of the door opening animation, obviously.
Well, yeah, fair. I mean, if you see, like, some crossbars retracting, then you know that door is made of some serious stuff.
Actually, you know, if I had the time and the talent when this is done, I would go and make a supercut of all the door opening animations.
Oh, and even better if you have, like, a hazard sign on the door, like a biohazard or a radioactivity hazard right on the door. That's just golden.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you guys remember the intro sequence from Get Smart?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Glorious.
Well, that takes door opening to absurdity. And that's the humor in it. Like, it's an absurd... it's the absurdity of the moment, basically. That's what I need.
Absolutely.
This gap.
That's easy to overlook.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's for a secret level, but still...
Oh, no. This is progress.
Oh, that's progress.
This is progress.
You have to go here in order to beat the level.
Yes. The secret level is something that I've already bypassed, and you'll see it later. Basically, it was a case of I didn't turn around at the right spot to grab the thing I needed.
Did they tell us in the briefing that we have to go through the fuel refinery to the ice caves?
I honestly...
I mean, even if they did, can we recheck the briefing in the middle of the level?
Nope, not really.
Would the guidebot have led us here?
Yes.
Okay.
So, like, as we were talking about earlier, like, some of these levels were designed with the, using the guidebot in mind. In fact, I even read the game facts. Like, there's one walkthrough of this game on game facts. And its primary, like, it 70.
Oh, geez, look at all those
yeah,
guys.
Like 75% of this walkthrough's instructions is follow the goddamn guidebot.
Yeah. Okay. That seemed like the terrain actually worked in your favor that time. That kind of funneled those guys to kind of stay in front of you where you could shoot them.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, good. That actually worked pretty well. Oh, hey, that looks nice. If only more rooms could look like this.
Yeah.
Striking.
It probably wasn't what was happening, but I like to think that those melee enemy guys were like just having the tips of their claws rake across the top of the water, and then they were waving them around going, ugh, like a cat does when it accidentally gets its paws wet.
Oh, good. Another alarm. I don't think we had enough of them in this level. Do you think they know we're here?
I should hope so. If they don't, I mean, I don't know what else to tell them at this point.
That's right. We're gonna sneak in with cat-like tread, I tell you.
There isn't a level where you fail arbitrarily if you set the alarm off, is there?
No.
Oh,
Good.
thank God for that.
Yeah, this isn't...
Well, at least they avoided that horrible, late 90s game design trope.
Yeah, as much as we like to rag on the level designers, that's why I'm trying to go out of my way to point out things that they're doing right, because I think these are mostly the same people who worked on Descent 1 and Descent 2.
Well,
so
no, because this is after the game. This is after the company got split in two. So not all of these people were the same game designers as who worked on Descent 1.
Yeah, and they might not even necessarily have even played Descent 1 or Descent 2 for that matter. Maybe they've seen a few levels of it or something.
Mm-hmm. And to be fair, this game came at the end of the there was a genre of flight simulators that really had a heyday in the 90s.
Oh, hey, we completed a side quest.
No, it's objectives. It's not a side quest. It's congratulations, you've reached the next section. But X-Wing versus TIE Fighter came out in this era. This was a game that came out at a time where people could be expected to have a joystick as a peripheral.
Ah, yes, that's something that you could actually go into an electronics store and buy.
Oh man, I did that a couple of years ago when I got the urge to replay TIE Fighter, and I bought a cheap joystick that had a massive dead spot in the middle, so it was not a good time. Then I read a guide on GameFAQs that said, just turn your mouse sensitivity up. And yeah, it turns out that even when you're in some kind of crazy turning fight, you don't have to constantly pick up and put your mouse down too much. It's surprisingly playable.
Actually, what I found...
Okay, I can see what you mean about the dodging of those guys. That's,
Yeah.
a little bit tricky.
Yeah.
This is where the plasma bolts need to travel a little faster.
Actually, speaking about mouse sensitivity, actually I found I actually had a ball mouse, one of the ones that had a little sphere sitting underneath your fingers. Those, if you can get the sensitivity down right, work wonders for that sort of thing because it's got the free rotation. Oh, God damn it, Thiefbot, kill a Thiefbot.
I was just thinking I hadn't seen one of
Where's
those in a while.
our cluster missile? Or shrapnel, whatever it's called.
Doesn't matter, just
cyclone.
all the missiles.
That's
all the missiles
thing
now.
we have to an Earthshaker.
Oh, die already. I hate...
Wow, that Thiefbot really had a lot of company along with it. They did not want you to be able to chase it down scot-free.
Yeah, this might just be
Alright, well now the game is afoot. Now we don't know where it is.
Well, we do know that the Thiefbot won't make the transition between inside and outside.
Oh yeah. If it escaped to the outer atmosphere, good luck hunting it down when it's could be in the next county over. Selling your goods on the black market.
I would like to think it does that.
Yeah, it's contributing to the Dravis retirement fund.
Was that a cloaked enemy, or did it just kind of come out from around the corner?
No, that's an enemy spawner.
Oh, right, yeah, that's what that is. Yeah, the
bits.
purple bulbs. I forgot.
Because it doesn't have the same visual distinctiveness that it used to have. I mean, sure, it was a wall texture, but it was a unique wall texture.
And we don't really see these that often. Because there's more level in between each of them.
Mm-hmm. But the problem is that unlike the first game, previous ones, where the enemy spawner, where basically until the enemy model had kicked in, the enemy actually wasn't there. These enemy spawners create the enemy first and then spawn the model in. So there's this invisible enemy sitting there.
Oh. Was there a sound effect for it spawning in too?
No, not if there was.
I don't think
if there was, it's been buried under the alarm and my own guns.
Yeah.
Hey, what was that guidebot power up we just saw?
I think that's the IFF, like the Charm Robot power up.
Ah, okay. So it looked like little orbiting things, and thought it might have been like something like the, what are they called? Like the options from Gradius or such like.
Okay, by the way, this entire section I'm about to go into, completely optional.
Oh, good.
Like,
so back to that Charm Robot thing again. There are 3 obvious targets that I would think that I would want to use that on. As soon as I realized, hey, it's there. Let's see if we can find something to use it on.
What, the tank, the tank, and the tank?
Close. I mean, the tank, yes. The Thief Bot.
Thief Bot's immune.
And, of course it is, naturally. I mean, if it's going to be immune to the railgun, then it might as well be immune to the Charm Robot. Probably not the Fusion Hulk because it's too big, but does charming the Flamethrower Robot really give you any advantage? Does that thing survive long enough to do anything reasonable?
Yes, it does, actually, because it will set enemies on fire.
Okay. I mean, that's okay. As long as you can actually hit it with them, and actually it survives long enough for you to do that to it, then okay. That is a reasonable thing to do with that power-up, then. Good.
Oh, here we go again.
Yeah,
Clunk.
You could hear the impact sound I made rather than the enemy spawning sound.
It's such an unpleasant sound for such an unpleasant event.
And especially as you seem to be, you need to drive through it to get to the next area.
Mm-hmm. There is a reason why, well, I'm not having fun with this game.
Fun really seems like something you have to look for in this game, as opposed to just finding and, like, enjoying.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what?
I have to admit that I do like the design of those guys that kind of fire those spread shots out, because they're nice and slow and give you some time to think about where would be a good place to go that's less dense.
Mm-hmm. Like, there are very good parts to this game. It's just, when they all come together, the whole is less than the sum of the parts, and this level is the worst. It goes up from here.
So, I think I've counted something like, not just these 2 huge fuel refinery optional sections, but there were also entire parts of the overworld that you didn't really need to go into, and probably some extra tunnels in that tunnel section before we even got to the fans. There's just a lot of places you can get lost in this level.
Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me if at some point this level was basically, okay guys, make as big a level as possible in order to test the engine.
Yeah, there's a certain amount of value in that, but, like, I guess this was the best of the levels that they had. And again, another thing, because they keep making the levels bigger and bigger, that means it takes longer to fill them in, which means that it's more tempting to keep the levels that you've made as opposed to making one to throw away. Making one to learn from.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't go into the final product. So there's more of a temptation to take this giant refinery level that's too big for its own good and go, okay, we're not going to make a new one from scratch. We're just going to try and tweak it and maybe cut out some parts and do really time-consuming things that maybe fix some of the surface level problems but don't really fix the underlying problems. And that way we'll have another level to fill out our level quota.
Yeah. And I mean, part of it is like, with the Descent 3 levels, there's no, what's the word I want to use? There's no real, like,
focused design philosophy?
Yeah. But whereas with, like, Descent 1 and 2, yes, there were differing designs for levels, but they had character to them.
You were able to set up expectations such that you could play around with them later.
Yeah.
Like the level where you had to destroy like 10 reactors to keep resetting the countdown wouldn't have worked nearly so well unless you played like 10, 20 levels beforehand where there was only one reactor and you knew what destroying that reactor did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sets up the expectation and then it plays with it. Whereas this is just kind of changing from one thing to the other so much that you never get that sense.
Yeah, and you can have those little tiny bits of environmental surprises, like picking up the blue key and then immediately picking up the red key, which has that kind of interesting surprise factor to it that you just don't really get in these larger environments where everything's more unique.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually just thinking before about the kind of contrast between this and Dark Souls, which also has expansive, twisty levels. It's got the die and then run back to pick up your stuff mechanic. It's got the horrific ambushes and stuff like that, but it pulls it together in a much better way that makes it a lot more fun.
It's also more personal. Like, Dark Souls is a more personal game, shall we say? Because you have an actual character that it's a third-person character. Your actions have weight to them. But this game, it's a first-person shooter. It's very generic when you get down to it.
Yeah, our snarky protagonist from our cutscenes has not had anything to say this past hour. We've had some voices at the radio kind of mumble at us, and I think the guidebot sassed us a couple of times, but otherwise the level is left to kind of speak for itself. And this is in a story-focused game where, like, the gameplay is certainly important and whatnot, but there's, like, because there's more focus on the story, there's, like, more of an expectation that things will actually kind of keep carrying it along in the same way, so to say.
Yeah.
Whereas we've been in, like, this lull period where, oh, hey, there's some interesting-looking equipment. It took us all level to find it, but yeah, there hasn't been much environmental storytelling to keep the regular storytelling going, is I guess what I'm getting at here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
there's not enough
sense.
Interesting stuff in these facilities and these waypoints to kind of keep us interested in what we're doing.
Okay, so that people are aware of what we're doing at this point, over on the right-hand side there's a white ship. We have to release this ship because it's a medical ship. We don't want this facility to blow up while the medical ship is here. So we have to make sure that we have to free the medical ship before we leave.
Yeah, I mean, say what you want, like, level 2 was a really long level, but it had intermediate goals. There was a sense of progress because we were going to increasingly higher level security areas, and once we found the doctor, hey, a human in a Descent game, there was novelty. There was a lot of novelty to keep us going in that level.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it had problems, sure, but I think I kind of prefer how that level went to this one.
Yeah, you had the sense of progression. Everything made sense.
Like, here, I just don't get what the difference is between this facility section to the other one we did an eon ago, way back at the start of the level when we crossed the snowfield. Like, what was the point of that facility then if this one was the one we were interested in? The reason is it had a switch in it.
They're trying to justify it by a case of, oh yeah, you have to hit X, Y, and Z in order to gain access to this facility. Like, you have to perform these actions to get here in the first place.
So yeah, I really see what you mean. They could have split this level in half.
And now there was an incoming transmission at this point, like, oh, right, I should turn that on. There we go. Oh yeah, we still need to leave, so you have to let us go. So we have to open up the docking clamp, turn on the elevator, and let them escape. And this is the part where I realized, wait a... Where's the god...
That's the normal exit.
Yeah, that's the normal exit. Actually, no. Here we go. Okay, so I paused. I went back. I found this guy all the way back in that... in this area here.
Okay. So this was the glass tube area that we didn't quite explore as fully as we needed to.
That's correct.
So we got the cloak and we turned around, but we didn't go to this corner of the cave to get this chip-looking thing, this data cartridge.
Yeah, trust me, it took me like 10 minutes to fly back here.
So now that we have the data cartridge, do we just go through the secret level and just leave the medical ship
Nope.
there?
We still have to... Basically, the data cartridge gives us the information we need to know where the secret level is.
Oh, okay. So we do the same exit as normal, and we just go to the secret level after.
That's correct.
Okay.
And that was me just
Man, silly me, thinking that a separate exit would be a separate exit.
To be fair, we played Descent.
I was bracing myself there. I saw you drive up to the enemy spawner and was just waiting for the clunk.
Okay, yeah. See, this is the problem here. Here's a control room. It has 4 switches. I'll just let that speak for itself.
Yeah. Switches that are activated by shooting them.
So I'm guessing that all the PTMC employees are walking around with like ship-sized plasma cannons that just to go and do their job day to day. Like, hey Jim, open the door. Okay, so let me shoot the switch.
Oh dang, that was the wave beam. Sorry.
Yeah. I don't care. I'm done. This level is done. At least the next...
And we don't even get to blow up Europa. What a ripoff.
Yeah.
I demand a refund.
I think this is the slowest exit sequence I've ever seen in a Descent game.
I'm done. I'm done.